everyone, I'm Anirudh Daga and beside me is Satanick of ChessBase India. You must be wondering what we are doing here instead of Sagar today, and as you may be aware, ChessBase India is organizing their very own Winter Solving Championship, and we both were given the responsibility to share a bit more about this tournament to make all of you familiar with this field. So, Satanick, let's just dive right in. First, could you tell us a bit about the importance of this solving championship?
Yeah, sure, Anirudh. And first of all, I would like to welcome you to ChessBase India on behalf of ChessBase India. And so the importance of this contest. So first of all, I just want to say that I have been sharing chess compositions on ChessBase India social media platforms for like 3 or 4 years. And a lot of people like solving those problems, but frequently I also get questions like why? Why should I solve this kind of problems? Because they are so impractical, not relevant to the game of chess. And I think this perspective exists because people are accustomed to seeing chess just as a sport, not as an art, or they don't understand much about composition or solving. So the only way to shift this perspective, in my opinion, is to show people that chess composition and chess solving can be a thing in itself, in and of itself, an independent endeavor. And that is what we are trying to do here with separate prize money, monetary awards, and chess-based premium products kept as prizes. I think this will really greatly promote our art form.
Yeah, completely agreed. So, yeah, let's dive right in and open the Pandora box of all of the problems which we are going to be having in the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
tier of this solving championship. So, the board in front of you shows a Helpmate in 3, a sample problem which was gathered by Satanick. So, do you want to explain what a Helpmate was?
Yeah, sure. So the idea behind these problems are that they are not readily solvable using a stockfish that you have on your phone. So what is a helpmate? Well, first of all, we know that chess is an adversarial game. Both sides are in contest with each other. There is a threat, there is a defense, but we lift all those constraints in a help play problem. So the helpmate problem, the pieces are simply working together. They are in cooperative relationship with each other, and this you just have to make legal moves for both sides to achieve a common goal. In this case, it's a helpmate in 3, and the target is to checkmate the black king. So both sides will just cooperatively play 3 moves: one move by black, then white, black, then white, and the last move, third move, white's third move would be a checkmate. Checkmating the black king on b8.
Yeah.
And the important point is that black plays first.
Yeah, and so like Satnik already said, they both are working towards the achieving the goal of checkmating the black king on b8. So this is a helpmate in 3 and there are 2 solutions. So there are 2 different unique ways to achieve this stipulation, which is helpmate in 3. So let's start and dive into the solutions. So
Yeah, no, I'll just urge the audiences to pause the video right here and try to solve this on their own. And okay, yeah, just give a couple of seconds. Yeah, okay, Anirudh, now you can just delve into the solution.
Yeah, so the first solution starts with rook into f3. White
Yeah,
plays knight into f3. Again, black doesn't have to play the best moves. He just has to play the moves which allow black king to get checkmated on b8 after 3 moves. So now black
exactly.
plays bishop into c2, knight e5, bishop to d3, and knight d7 main.
Yeah, exactly. Anirudh, could you please go back and show the initial position once? Yeah, so when we look at this position, the only way to checkmate the black king, which is quite far removed from the white pieces, is to open up the c file and this long diagonal h1 a8, and that is what the pieces are cooperatively trying to achieve, right?
Yeah.
So in the first solution, we open up the h1 a8 diagonal using the rook. So we go rook takes f3, then knight takes f3, and now the bishop opens the c file, then knight e5, and now bishop very cleverly blocking the rook on d2 so that knight can deliver the coup de grace. Check.
Yeah, that's super important because any other bishop move like to g6, knight d7 will not be made anymore because the rook can of course take that knight. So that's why the black bishop goes to d3 to block that black rook on d2 so that knight d7 is made.
Yeah. So the pieces cooperate in a very clever, imaginative way. That is the point. That is the beauty of Helpmates.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so the second solution, like we mentioned earlier, there are two solutions to this, two different unique methods of achieving the stipulation.
But the strategy is the same. We have to open up the c file and the long.
Yeah.
And we do it in this time in a different.
Yeah, and so we kind of reverse the move order this time. So bishop into c2.
Exactly.
Now the knight goes the other way. Knight goes to c2. And this time this rook opens the f3 line. Knight b4, rook f d3, and knight a6.
Blocking the queen and knight a6. The queen is blocked, so that knight a6 is a checkmate.
Yeah, and again we can see the help being occurred by the black, since he first of all opens the c2, which opens this rook. He opens f3, which opens this bishop, and finally he goes to d3 to stop this queen from interfering the mate with queen into a6.
Yeah, wonderful. And this is composed by Mikhail Dragon, who is a very well-known composer of heterodox problems, helpmates and selfmates.
Yeah, and this won the first prize as well. Okay, should we go on to the next sample problem, that is selfmates?
Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah, so it's a complicated position, but let's first talk about what a selfmate is. Anirudh, could you please explain what a selfmate is?
A selfmate occurs when white is trying to force black to checkmate white. So, for instance, what white is wanting to do is to force black to play such a move that will checkmate white. In a way, it's an adversarial type of problem in which we are trying black not to checkmate black itself, but actually white. So, for instance, if we can get this, if we play knight into f4 and then knight into f4, if we play knight into f4 and then knight into f4 again, if we can force black to play that, this would be checkmate. However, of course, we need to play our moves correctly, because it can't be that black will be forced to play that unless we play a specific unique move order which results in the selfmate. So here it's a selfmate in two moves. And so, Satanick, the solution?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, one idea is to force the knight to f4, and there is another idea to force the knight to g3. Yeah, and there is another thing that is very important. We have a very important pattern here. So on b1 f5, we have what is known as a half pin. Yeah, so what is a half pin? On the pin line, you see two pieces, two rooks. If one of them moves, then the other gets pinned. And if you can achieve that, if you can, for instance, if we just imagine that there is no rook on c2, then already rook takes f4 would achieve our selfmate, right?
Yeah.
So if there is no rook on c2 and we play rook takes f4, then knight takes f4 is forced, because there is no rook takes f4 back. Rook takes back f4 because the rook on e4 is pinned, right?
Yeah. And so
that is our strategy. That is going to be our strategy. We have to provoke the rook on c2 to move. And if you can achieve that, then rook takes f4 would achieve our task. So that is the key move.
So the
queen
key move
goes
here is, the first move is queen to b6. And the idea behind this is, of course, to play queen g6 check, after which black will be forced to play h into g6, which is a mate to the white king. And so black is, of course,
made by force.
Yeah, and black is wanting to, of course, go against this. And so he has two different defenses which he can play. He can try playing rook to c6, which is, of course, now stopping this queen from going to g6. And now we see...
But now, as we have mentioned, the rook on e4 is pinned, because there was this half battery. One rook has moved, the other rook is pinned. So now we can execute our strategy. We can go rook takes f4. And there is no rook takes back on f4. Knight takes f4 is forced. And that is a selfmate.
Yeah. And so...
And also the knight on e2 is pinned. The knight on e2 is pinned. That is also important. So there are three half pins on the chessboard in this particular position.
Yeah.
So let's go back and let's show the half pins once. Yeah, one is the half pin on b1 f5, the other is d1 h5, and f1 f5. So these are the half pins. By half pin, we mean that if one of the pieces moves, then the other gets played. And we are going to use that fact.
Yep, exactly. And so here, after rook into f4, just showing the mating again, now black has only one move in his in what he can play, which is knight into f4, because the king can't move anywhere. Like Satanick mentioned, this rook is of course pinned, and king can't take either since this knight is also present. So they must play knight into f4, which is a mate to the white king.
Yeah, mate, because the e2 knight is pinned. So that pin also comes into play. And what is the second defense? Second defense is just to take the
capturing the queen.
Yeah, but now we have the second half pin in effect. So the bishop has moved, the pawn on f4 is pinned, and we use that fact. The pawn cannot take the knight, so knight takes g3 is forced. And this is checkmate. Checkmate because the rook on g4 is pinned.
Exactly. And so again, same thing occurs. This king can't move anywhere except for one move which black has, that is to take this knight, after which it's a checkmate to the king. Since again, we're utilizing the half pin, since this rook on g4 is again pinned.
Exactly.
So that's a self-made. This was by Vladimir Alov and won the third prize in 1979.
Yeah, Alov is a great expert of self-mates, and I think he became a disciple of Petko Petkov, who is also a legendary chess composer and a very good self-made expert.
Yeah. Okay, on to the next problem.
Yeah, sure.
That is a reflex mate. So, Satanick, what is reflex mate?
So again, a new concept, reflex mate. So reflex mate is just a self-mate, but there is an added twist. The twist is that if there is a checkmate in 1 on the board, then that mate in 1 must be executed. If at any point, any side has a mate in 1, then they must execute that mate in 1. That is the reflex condition. So it's a self-mate. White has to force black to checkmate the white king, but there is this added condition that if there is at any point a mate in 1 on the chessboard, that must be executed, right, Anirudh?
Yeah, and there's one very important point, that it is for both sides. So even if white also has a checkmate in 1 which he can play, he must play that. And so after which the game would of course end, and the stipulated the reflex mate would not be desired, since we are wanting to checkmate the white king, force black to checkmate white.
Correct.
Okay, so
what's the key move here?
It's to play bishop to f3, and the idea is quite interesting because we want to play knight to b4 next, and what this would achieve is that after knight b4, black will have a move which is to play rook into f3, that will be mates, and that would mean that black must play it. So if black were to play any random move like queen to h7, then after knight to b4, black has to play rook into f3, since that is a checkmate.
Yeah. So the reflex condition comes into play, and after knight takes b4, because there is this reflex condition, black is obliged to take on f3 and checkmate the white king. So that is the threat. After bishop f3, the threat is knight to b4.
Correct.
And importantly, the move knight to b4 unpins the rook on b3.
Yeah. So now there are of course 3 defenses to this. First of all, being quite an obvious one, that is to play g into f3 check, after which white can simply not go f3 or f2, but just go to h3, after which queen to g4 is checkmate.
And it is forced because of the reflex condition.
Correct.
So black has to play it. Yeah. Black cannot play any other move.
Yeah, and so the second defense, which is much more interesting, is to go knight to c3. Again, now if you play knight b4, there is no mate because rook into f3 is not there. But instead, white now goes knight e5, a very cheeky move indeed, because now we're just blocking this white rook from controlling e4, and now there is knight e4 checkmate. And since there's a checkmate on the board, black is obliged to play it.
Exactly.
And there's another way.
And the final defense?
There's another way you can try blocking this, which is of course to go bishop
to c3.
after which there's another similar idea, that is a bishop to e2. Bishop to e2.
Yeah. Again blocking the rook.
Yeah, bishop e2. And now black has bishop e1 checkmate, and therefore he must play it.
Yeah. And in both cases, you can see that the pin comes into play. The knight is pinned on d3, and even in the previous position, the bishop was pinned.
Yeah, and so these are the three different sample problems.
Yeah. So shall we show the article that I wrote?
Yeah,
and give people a glimpse into what kind of. Yeah. So this is the article that I wrote, and it was published on 29th. And you have time till the 3rd December. You can solve till midnight and send the solutions. All the details are given in this article. Let's scroll down. Yeah. So the diagrams in blue are the sample problems. They are explained so that you don't, so that you understand what a helpmate is. And then you have the boards in maple color. And these are the problems that you actually have to solve. Helpmate in 3, helpmate in 5. Well, just a word about the helpmate in 5 problem. It's a 2-in-1 problem, a 2-part problem. First, you have to solve the diagram, and then you have to move the knight on f3 to f4 and solve again. So that's the point of A and B.
Yeah, that's a twin.
Yeah. Another sample problem that we have just discussed. The solutions are explained there as well, so you can just read it at your own pace. We have a self-made in 2 and a self-made in 4. Now we come to reflexmate, and I must mention that helpmate and self-mate are actually considered to be somewhat orthodox because they are very standard in solving contests, but reflexmate is actually fairy chess proper. The reflex condition is a fairy condition, and you won't find reflexmates in a standard solving contest. So we are getting unorthodox with this last section. And after that, yeah, we have 2 reflexmates in 2, and after that we have tier 2, which is being conducted by Anirudh. And in that part, we'll only have unorthodox problems. No more helpmates, no more ordinary helpmates. There will be helpmates, but with twists. And these are the prizes. So the one who wins the contest will be awarded $100, and they will have access to this wonderful course by Vidit Gujarati. It's more than 5 hours long, and Vidit explains calculation, tactics through the solving of studies. It's a wonderful course. You can have access to it if you can win this event. And then for second prize, we have $50 as a monetary award. And this course by Mukesh D. Mukesh is currently India number 2, and he has been playing very well. In this particular course, he goes through his full games, but the emphasis is on attacking play, how to attack the opponent's king. So if you think you want to improve your attacking play, this is a wonderful course that you can have. And the third prize is of $25, and we are giving away a one-year premium ChessBase premium account where you have access to all sorts of things, tactics, trainers, videos, a very good resource to improve your chess.
Yeah.
So these are the awards that we are giving away, and this contest is absolutely open to everyone, regardless of age, nationality, gender. Anyone can participate, and participation is very easy. You just have to solve these problems and and send them to ChessBase India social @gmail.com. That's it. You can write the solutions in a Word document and send it to us, or you can send us PGN files. Absolutely, there is no problem. It just has to be understandable. That's all. Yeah, and very important, the deadline is the December 3rd. So you cannot send your solutions to these problems after December 3rd. And after that, we will announce the next 6 problems of the contest. The next 6 problems have been selected by Anirudh, and we will have a deadline for that as well. And after that, will publish the solutions and the results.
Yeah.
So you have the weekends for yourself. I think we have already started receiving a lot of solutions, but I think during the weekends, more people. I hope that more people will engage with this and help us make this contest a success.
Yeah. And so I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will be back soon. And after we publish the tier 2 problems, we will make another video and explain to you the nuances of that part of the contest. Right,
Yes.
Anirudh?
So we wish you
Yeah.
good luck for the contest, and we hope that you take part in it. It doesn't have to be solving all of the problems, just a few. Try to attempt it, since this is a wonderful art and a wonderful exercise, of course.
Sure. Sure.
So thank you,
Yeah.
and we hope to
Thanks.
see you in our mailbox.
Happy solving.